normally would not feel the need to talk about this, but I have received a lot of questions and opinions when it comes to comparing yourself to others, that I have to talk about this urgently. For example, some have asked why I am comparing myself to others all the time, and some have pointed out the reason why you should not be comparing yourself to others, and so I have to address this. First of all, I think a lot of people who say you should not compare yourself to others are hypocrites, because I think most people do compare themselves to others, more or less. And the reason why people compare themselves to others is because it's an evolutionary mechanism. You see, 1,000 years ago, if you were not better than other members of a tribe, you would get kicked out of that tribe. And so you had to compare yourself to other members of that tribe. And guess what? Even in this day and age, you are still competing against others. You want that dream job? Well, guess what? Other people want that dream job too. Why should they hire you when they can hire someone else? Or you want that dream spouse? Well, guess what? Other people want that dream spouse too. Why should that dream spouse choose to be with you and not anyone else? Life is always about competition, and therefore you have to compare yourself to others so that you can outperform them. However, the reason why people say you should not compare yourself to others is because a lot of people go about it the wrong way. A lot of people compare themselves to others in a patently unhealthy way. I have already mentioned in a previous video that there are people who give up on their dreams simply because someone is better than them. But I see that as motivation to work harder so that I can one day surpass those who are better than me. It's like that tale, the hare and the tortoise. I don't know how to pronounce that in English, but anyways, the hare was naturally faster, but the tortoise worked harder and therefore emerged victorious over the hare. However, some people have pointed out other reasons why you should not compare yourself to others. For example, because it makes you too obsessed over the people who are better than you, and it makes you forget everyone else who is either at your level or who is worse than you. But once again, that is also an unhealthy way to compare yourself to someone else. Let me give you a personal example. Here you can see me bench press 90 kilograms or 195 pounds with sunglasses. A lot of people on the internet will claim this is very pathetic weight and that you are weak if you don't bench press, let's say, 315 pounds. This is because those people compare themselves to all those TikTok influencers who bench press 4 plates. But what those people fail to realize is that those influencers are only 0.000001% of the world population. They have freak genetics and they abuse steroids. It is therefore not a good idea to compare yourself to only them. You should instead start looking at the more general demographic who has average genetics and who don't take steroids. And considering 135 pounds is apparently the average weight for men to bench press, I am proud of myself for being able to bench press above average weight. If I see someone in my social circle who can bench press, let's say, 300 pounds, I'm like, okay, now I want to be able to bench press 300 pounds. But it's really not about the destination, it's about the journey. The mistake a lot of people make is they think they will be unhappy and unsatisfied until they are able to bench press 300 pounds. And so if they previously could only bench press, let's say, 280 pounds, and now they did 290 pounds for the very first time, they are still unhappy because it's still not 300 pounds. But I celebrate every progress I make towards the goal. I don't just celebrate when I get to the goal. I see every bit of progress as victory. Now, another thing someone has pointed out is that people have different unfair advantages, and therefore you should not compare yourself to others. Once again, those people go about it the wrong way. Like I previously kind of said, it is not a good idea to compare yourself to people with elite genetics who abuse steroids if you have average genetics and you are natural. I don't ever compare myself to Chris Bumstead. Now, if you feel like comparing yourself to others in general is not healthy, then so be it. But it is just something that has worked for me. Maybe one day I will change my mind and realize there is nothing good about comparing yourself to others, which is why I end most of my videos saying, this is only my philosophy. But so far, comparing myself to others has worked for me, which is why I still compare myself to others, albeit I try to do it in what I think is a healthy way. Because comparing myself to others is something that motivates me to do hard work. This is what actually motivates me to keep making videos like this one, and to keep studying for university, and to keep going to the gym, and to go relatively early to bed so that I can get enough sleep, for example. Now, I have probably made it pretty clear a few times that I strive, for example, to be as attractive as possible. Not just because I love feeling attractive, but because the more attractive you are, the better society will objectively treat you. So once again, life is about competition, and so sometimes you have to compare yourself to others. And when I compare myself to others, I can have a point of reference, so that I know how I could improve. For example, I could see someone with good hair and be like, okay, I can improve my hair. Now, personally, I don't really know how attractive I really am. In the mirror, I am like a 9 out of 10 on the Richter scale. On some thumbnails here, I am a negative 1 out of 10. In this video, I am probably a 6 out of 10. But that's just what I think. However, I can still look at a Hollywood celebrity and I am like, wow, I can be like them one day. And once again, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. I celebrate every small step. And a lot of people will be like, oh, attractiveness is all about genetics, having a perfect bone structure, being tall and all that. But I think the beautiful thing about attractiveness is the fact that it's not determined purely by genetics, but also by the hard work you put in. I may not be 6 feet tall, for example, but because I still try to be as attractive as possible, I take care of my body, I eat healthy food, I go to the gym almost every day, I shower my hair with a conditioner, and so much more because I want to be as attractive as possible. And I celebrate every time I get a challenging workout in the gym, and every time I put conditioner on my hair. And you can disagree as much as you want. If you don't have the right genetics, you might as well not bother. But I am motivated to be as good as possible thanks to comparing myself to others. Once again, if it doesn't work for you, so be it. It might neither work for future me, but for current me, comparing myself to others is what has allowed me to get things done. Which is why I continue to compare myself to others. For my personal case, it has worked. And for that whole 6 foot thing, I can always strap on platform shoes and be tall.